So, good morning or good night, depending on where you are in the world, and welcome to another interview of the Shield Dude on a Couch. I'm your host, Hector, and today we're joined by Trey Pemberton, and he's one of the guitar players for the band Creeping Death. They're a death metal band from Texas, and they're about to release their sophomore album on June 16, and we're here to talk about it. So, first of all, Trey, how are you today?
Doing well, doing well. How are you?
I'm doing pretty good over here. So, yeah, I've listened to your band. I remember listening to your previous EPs that you put out and the full length that you had in the 2019 because I remember like following you guys and Power Trip because you were like the newer like death metal with thrash metal bands and all hailing from Texas. So there's a huge death metal scene in Texas, and it's when I saw the that you guys were doing interviews for a second album, I'm like, great, because yeah, I really dug your first release and the EP. Uh, so Trey, like, what is it in Texas that breeds so much good metal?
I think a lot of the bands that are coming out of here, they come from at least a knowledge of like sort of the where the Texas kind of hardcore kind of scene comes from. A lot of the Iron Age Power Trip kind of influence and stuff like that. I think a lot of it just comes from a sort of there's always been sort of a deference to like what came before and stuff like that here in Texas, and also just being so isolated. It takes about 24 hours both ways to get to either coast. So you end up playing with your peers, and if you're only playing for your peers, you're taking influence from basically only your peers, and the bands that came before them. So it's just like you end up just take everyone just kind of takes bits and pieces from like sort of the same stuff, but they spin it in a different way. So it kind of makes its own sort of vibe in a sense.
Mhm.
But it's also uh, why a lot of the bands can sound like sort of different, but sort of have, like I said, a similar vibe to it.
Yeah, no, I can tell that there's similar vibes in different places. So yeah, that Texas sound that you're referring to, yeah, like most of the bands. So being in a state that's so big, like you can't get out of that state that easily. So you all get influences from each other. That's what I'm taking, right?
Yeah, yeah, for sure. And it's just everyone's kind of putting their own little different spin on it because not everyone is trying to sound like the same bands is like the difference. So they're pulling different stuff from these bands, but they're using it for whatever they made suit their style at whatever they're playing. So yeah, I think it kind of lends to kind of a its own thing, and a lot of the thing here is just being self-sufficient and like being able to do it yourself, and you know so like yeah, just relying on yourself and the homies and stuff like that, and helping people out and shit like that.
Yeah. So this album was produced by Adam D from Killswitch Engage. How was that experience? Because I know that Adam D can. First of all, he's a great guitar player, and he produces a lot of like great bands. How was it working with him? Because I know he's more used to working like with those more like metalcore type of bands.
Uh-huh.
But how was him working on your death metal sound?
Oh, it was awesome. Adam rocks. He's hilarious, absolutely hilarious. He likes to, you know, fuck with us and play around with us and stuff like that. And that we like to bust each other balls too. So like it works out. Like our energies kind of to match. He likes to have fun and party and hang out, just like we do. So that energy was like definitely matched. But at the same time, he's very like meticulous and like he only accepts like the absolute top best like possible most robotic unhuman like take that you could possibly have, And so like it really forced us all to get better at like playing our respective instruments, and in Reese's case doing vocals. So yeah, you know, and a lot of his he's just very knowledgeable just about, you know, music theory and just like tones and stuff like that. And you know, he was able to add a lot of different layers, and he helped us with you know, and like for example, in some cases he would add he would be like his thing would be not to the two guitars to play the same thing for too long. So he added a lot of or he had us play a lot of harmonies and different things and octaves and things of that nature, so we could uh so you know, just to just make it interesting, you know. So I think that really helped. He helped add a lot of layers, you know, just like extra guitar parts on top of like rhythm riffs to just for things to sound bigger, and you know, things like that. You know, some parts just rearranging like, hey, play this riff this many times instead of this many times, and you know, stuff like that, you know. So yeah, I think it his expertise really helped us out, and kind of definitely he helped push us to play actually better for sure, too. So I think all of that culminated to like, you know, a better product at the end.
Well, I think that's what any band would like. I don't think any band in the history of the world wants to put out an album and say, "No, we didn't top our last one." Or yeah, yeah, you know,
Absolutely.
there's always the trope that they like every time a band puts an album, they say this is the best thing that we've ever put out. I've never
Mhm.
heard a band say no, this is the worst that you put out. But you can see the evolution from the 2019 one for this one. And when I read that, obviously Adam worked on it. I'm like thinking, yeah, that had to do a lot of a lot of like with the changing of the sound. So how much did he push you with the guitar? Like, did he make you do things that you've never done in the past or never think of doing when recording songs?
Um, no, not really. He really helped more so of like, you know, all the riffs were pretty much already written. Like I said, like he helped us with like structuring certain things. Like one song, we completely like when we sent him to a demo of it, and he basically had us completely rearrange the structure of the song. But the riffs are the same in the song. It's just, but it sounds completely different just from how it's arranged. And so it's like stuff like that, and then like you know, different chords and layers, and you know, lots of ideas like that. It was just like he would bring ideas that on paper you would think they would be super subtle, but like when you listen to it in the scope of everything at the same time, and you're like, oh, this adds like a really, you know, like a deep layer to, you know, to it to make it a lot more interesting than it would be just having the straight like whatever rhythm track that we would just have. So yeah, it was a lot of stuff like that. You know, it was pretty, you know, standard recording process. It wasn't anything like super crazy. And he always told us like, you know, if there's something that we didn't want to do, then he would, you know, it's our band, and like he's not trying to like, you know, change completely. Like we at the end of the day we're the client, so he wants us to make sure that
Yeah.
we're okay with everything. So it was very smooth. We were very much on the same page, you know. I think a lot of people have sort of misconceptions with like what producers can and sort of do. It's like, yeah, you could have someone like come in and have that sort of like change, or you could be like, nah, this is like sort of the the dynamic that we want to have. And so if you got a guy that doesn't work with that, then maybe you either find someone else that kind of does. And but we're lucky that, you know, Adam, and not just Adam, it's like we haven't had trouble with anybody we've recorded with, but Adam was just the first person to, you know, really give us in-depth like, you know, ideas and changes and things like that.
Yeah, and there's many producers now that are in different bands. Like for with Fit for an Autopsy, there's Will Putney. He produces a lot of
Mm.
bands, and you know, and Adam. But at least you didn't get Rick Rubin, who would just like go to your first place the recording and then leave for 3 months and come back and then send you the bill.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, not
And
that
you'll
would
be like,
not.
"What? You weren't here." But Yeah, the album is pretty interesting, and I think the quality sounds better than the 2019. You can tell with the production that the production is in another level. I really it's really cool, the songs, and I love the song that you have with Corpsgrinder. That's one of the singles, I believe, the
Hmm.
Intestinal Rap. Uh,
Yeah.
yeah, that sounds very death metal. Like, did Corpsgrinder? How did you get together with Corpsgrinder for that track?
So we're like on the same like management group as him. So our manager was just like, "Hey, would you guys be interested in having our course grinder feature?" And we were like, "Yes, this song." Like we already knew like if he was gonna be on a track, like if that person was gonna be on any of our tracks, like it would have to absolutely be that one. We were pretty much all in unanimous agreement from
Yeah,
the time that he texted us the message. So yeah, from the time that it was like, are you guys interested to, yeah, he'll do it, it was like maybe like 2 or 3 days. We were recording in the studio. So yeah, it was pretty streamlined, easy process. It was just like, you guys want to do, you want to have him? Like, yeah. It's like, okay, he's confirmed, he's down. We're like, sweet. So
well,
pretty
just
easy.
the title of the song alone sounds like a Cannibal Corpse song. Like the
Yeah.
title, like when you were writing that song, maybe in your minds you were like, "We'll get Corpsgrinder to sing here." Did he add any lyrics, or did he
No,
just sing?
no. Yeah, Reese writes all of their own lyrics and like no, the Reese like I don't like have anything to do with the lyrics really. That's all
Yeah, that's why
Reese,
I'm,
but
I'm not asking you
from what
anything about the lyrics.
oh yeah. No, I'm saying but like from what they told me, it's like when they write the lyrics, it's like it's what they're writing, they're trying to basically the overarching thing is sort of like this existential kind of humanity is like circling the drain because of their own doing kind of thing. And he uses a lot of history and fantasy elements to kind of like play and convey. And like one of the things, since he's actually Iranian or half Iranian,
Mhm.
so like going back into Persian history, like a lot of the violent, torturous things that you hear are actually torture things that like the Persians did. So like intestinal wrap was like they used to disembowel people and then tie them to literally like the stumps of trees and leave them there to die. Like that was like a thing that they did. So like that's basically what they like what the basis of like the sort of the overarching thing, but like the the whole thing is sort of like I said, existential sort of humanity like circling the drain kind of at their own fault. So yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty death metal, and I was reading the lyrics, and they're brutal, and that one really is quite brutal, but also catchy at the same time. That's not easy to do, but the album as a whole has some great moments on it, and it's not a super long album, so it goes by quickly. I really liked Boundless Domain that opens the album, and I really enjoyed Remnants of the Old Gods, and I think The Common Breed, which closes the album, is the second single. It's another strong one at that. Like, do you have any favorites right now from the album?
Yeah, definitely the first song and the last song. So the Boundless Domain, that's definitely one of my favorite songs. It's got one of my favorite riffs that I've ever written at the end of that song. And then Common Breed, too, that song is really sick. That's one of my favorite ones. I think that one is one of the ones we got a little bit like weirder on and added a little bit more effects. And so getting to play around with stuff like that was a lot of fun and kind of creating something a little bit uh, different than what we had done previously.
Well, you always want to do that. Yeah, you always want to not do the same, repeat yourself
Yeah.
and do the same album, or at least keep that core sound, but add different stuff to it. And yeah,
Hmm.
I'm glad that you said the first song is always important than the last one. Like you always want to uh, start strong and finish strong at that. So
Hmm.
I want to show the artwork for the upcoming album. So this is the artwork for Creeping Death, Boundless Domain. And it looks pretty brutal. I'm trying to grasp what is it, because I see there's like a creature, and I don't know if it's hair. Can you tell me a little bit about the artwork?
So yeah, our friend Tanner Carruthers, he actually did the art. He also did the last thing we did for Edge. He also did the artwork for that. And yeah, this is all again Reese's idea. They do all the lyrics, all the artwork themes, sort of. And the thing is, so the cover is only actually one part of the portrait. There's a whole
Hmm.
landscape to it going on that if you had the back of it, you would see. But yeah, it's you know, it's sort of I'm thinking it's like a abstract sort of I think the idea was to put a sort of not a person or a statue, but like have a sort of monolith, and then having like a landscape, and then I think Reese and Tanner just sort of kind of let from that idea, you just kind of let the artist play with whatever they kind of want. So I think Reese had like the overarching thing, what they wanted to convey. We let Tanner know like the colors that we were kind of interested in, and we always want the colors to be like kind of interesting and pop on all of our album covers. So
Hmm.
um, we were like, yeah, let's do some colors that we haven't done, and then so he took Reese's idea, kind of like put his own little spin on it, and I think it turned out pretty cool. I think Tanner's got his own like. I think he's got his own style, and I think that's what's really awesome. Like between this and like Edge, it's like definitely not exactly like other death metal album covers, so I think it's
Yeah,
cool.
no, it is different. You gotta look at more than once to tell what's going on in the artwork. It's not like so, but yeah, I do dig it. So yeah, the album for people, it's coming out on June the 16th. So I'll put like, I know that you have I went on your website. You have a few like vinyl variants for people who
Hmm.
want to get it. Different colors, different things. So obviously, pre-ordering is very important for bands. I was
Yeah,
speaking with another band the other day, and the importance of the pre-ordering. So right now you're heading on tour soon, right? Or you're on tour as we speak,
yeah,
or I think who's the tour with
yeah.
right now?
We just finished up a tour with Carcass, Municipal Waste, and Sacred Reich, and then we are starting a headliner tour. Actually the same day our record comes out on June 16th with Year of the Knife, Flesh Rot, and Saint Peeler, and that'll be the West Coast leg. Then we'll have about 10 days off or something like that, and then we'll hit the East Coast with Enforced, Upon Stone, and Saint Peeler as well. So yeah, a lot of
Well,
touring coming up.
yeah, and Force, that band put out a Kick-Ass album later earlier this year. Yeah. So yeah,
Yeah, they rock.
that's
They're our good homies. We've done tour with them before, and every time we're in the RVA or they're around our area, we always hang out, and so it's very excited to be playing with them again. They're some of our best friends.
no awesome, awesome. So uh for you growing up, Trey, like what bands influence your style of playing?
So I actually started playing drums first. So I think being a drummer like influenced my style of playing more so than like an individual person, like as far as
Mhm.
guitar goes. Because I'm very rhythmic, and I feel like I think about guitar like sort of like more. I think about drums first when I write. Like I think about what drum beat I would want the riff to be over first. And so it's like, oh, so I want to part with this sort of vibe or this sort of drum beat. So how can I write a riff around that? As opposed to like, let me write a riff. Like, so I think it's just a little bit of a different kind of headspace to be coming from a little bit. But yeah, I feel like that kind of influenced me more than anything. Once I kind of like when I started playing guitar at about 20, and I just turned 30. I was teaching myself how to play just by learning from guitar tabs. And then once I kind of learned like the tendencies of like, okay, if you do this fret, like 1, 5, and 6, it sounds like this. Or if you do 2, 3, and 5, it sounds like this. So once I kind of like figured that out, then I started to write my own music, and then I had no interest in learning anything from anybody else after that. So that's just kind of how it went for me.
Well, that's good. And you actually learned not that young, or 20. So you were a late
Yeah.
bloomer in the
Mhm.
guitar field. So yeah, that's pretty awesome. So Trey, I know that you're a busy guy, and probably you are heading out to do other stuff, but I'll put the link for people who want to get the album. So if you like death metal, uh old school death metal with like a modern production, because as we talked a lot about in this interview about the production with Adam D from Killswitch. So anything that you would like to say to the people watching this video on what to expect from Creeping Death in the next year?
Lots of live shows. So come out and see us live. I think that's where I think you'll understand the band more if you see us live than if you just listen to it. I think I was telling another guy this earlier that I think a big goal for us is to like try to convey, that live energy on a record. And I
Yeah.
think that's more. So I think like you'll get the idea of Creeping Death more if you come and see us than if you just like are listening to the records.
Yeah, because like yeah, like I guess what you're saying, because it's not this, if you see a band and it doesn't sound anything like they do in the record, that's like a turn off, or like not sound exactly like the record, but have that energy. And I think the scene that you come from, the death metal with the hardcore scene, usually those type of bands bring the same energy from a record to a live show. And obviously in the live show is better when it's live, or at least in my opinion. I love music live. I think music is
I
meant
agree.
to be listened to live. It's cool to listen to it on the CDs or streaming or vinyl, but when you're live, it's a different energy all around. So yeah, I would agree with you.
Absolutely. I totally agree. I actually said almost the same thing word for word to someone earlier today. So yeah, I think music is absolutely meant to be, shared live with, a group of people that are also, like-minded in the same like kind of tastes. And I think that's just something special about that. It's pretty cool.
Yeah. So before I let you go, I have a question for you. So, like, it's about touring. If you had to pick a dream tour to go see, and then you pick a tour that you would like to, or a band that you would love to open for, which would it be? Like your dream tour just to go, and a tour that you would like, a band that you would like say, I would love to open for that band.
Okay, so like Dream Tour, just like uh Dead or Alive, like
Yeah, it can
doesn't
be
like
dead or alive. Yeah.
okay, immediately Rush. Like really, it's like the only band. It's like basically the band that got me into music, and I never got to see them live. I had one opportunity to see them live. My mom actually got tickets,
Mm.
and I actually turned her down because it was the same day as a final, and I had actually a couple years ago, or a couple years prior to that, I had flunked out of a final because I went to a show instead of studying for said final. So
But
I was
Trey,
like,
if you had gone to that Rush show, Rush is smart is smart rock. Like you would have learned just by hearing the music. But I have a similar story with Rush. Rush played here in Puerto Rico sometime in the 2009, and the day when they were coming to play, I wanted to go, but I just got fired from a job, so
um,
I didn't have the money to go, so I never got to see Rush either. So yeah, I feel your
uh,
pain. Yeah, I couldn't.
yeah. We can trauma bond over that one together.
Yeah. So
Also,
yeah,
that's too bad. I wish our bass player Eric was here. He's actually grew up in Puerto Rico, believe it or not. He could have.
oh, nice. Well, that's
Yeah.
awesome. Yeah, that he
Yeah.
grew up in
So
Puerto Rico.
yeah, he's actually Dominican, but he grew up in Puerto Rico and then moved to Texas when he was like 12 or 13 or something like that. I think he was already in high
Yeah.
school, maybe 5 or 14. So, but yeah, interesting. That's cool. I didn't know you were in Puerto Rico.
Oh yes, I'm here in Puerto Rico. And Puerto Rico has this is a Puerto Rican metal band shirt, so we have lots of metal here.
Hell yeah,
Lots of
I
different
want to play
music.
there one day. I gotta come
Oh
out
yeah,
there one day. I would love to play there.
yeah. Your band would attract. We've had many bands here come. Like we have Warbringer. play.
Oh yeah.
We had On Earth play here. We had I'm trying to remember. The last show that I went to here was a black metal band called Uada from
Oh yeah,
Portland.
I've heard of them.
And yeah, they were masked, and so they could pass for along you. You don't know who it was, but yeah, we have smaller shows in clubs here, so yeah, they're pretty cool. So the other question was like, which band would you love to open for?
Um, which band would I love to open for? We haven't opened for Cannibal Corpse or Obituary yet, so I would say those ones for sure right now.
Yeah, that would be a cool and a cool opening, and I think the music would translate with the fans of those bands as well. So
Yeah,
yeah.
absolutely.
So people get the Creeping Death album, Boundless Domain, on June 16th. I'm gonna put the link so people can pre-order it. And if you like your death metal, there you have a death metal album that for sure will be a lot of people will be talking about, and a band that's on the rise. So Trey, again, you have a great day. So
Thank you,
until
thank you.
next time, people, this is Hector, the Shield on a Couch, and I'll see you all right here on the couch. Thank you and good night.